Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Kashian. Welcome to the Dork Forest. It's a good one. You know the websites, JackieKashian.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com if you enjoy a determiner. In November and December, as per usual with the Dork Forest, do not donate to the show. Instead, find your local food bank and donate to them. If you go to feedingamerica.org, you can look up your local food bank. There'll be a link. If you want to order merch for the holidays, that, of course, still perfectly available. If you want T-shirts or CDs, I just ordered some hoodies. If you want a zip hoodie, I have like 2 of each size. I don't want to keep them in stock, but I'll keep some in stock, it turns out. Okay, so that's also where my schedule is and my contact info, Jackie@JackieKashian.com. So if you want to see the stand-up or live Dork Forests, all that information is there. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, so feel free to join those groups. There is a Ranger of the Dork Forest group that is fan-made on Facebook that I'm also a part of, which is fun. So go look for Rangers of the Dork Forest group. There is also an Amazon banner, a white banner on the right-hand side above the videos on the front page of JackieKashian.com. If you want to use that, I get a kickback. No additional cost to you. You just go to Amazon through JackieKashian.com and that white banner that says support the show by ordering from Amazon. And there's a holiday thing you could do for the Dork Forest if you want. This is a great episode with Ryan Stout. What you should know about Ryan Stout and myself, Jackie Kashian, is that we are comedians. We are not lawyers. Yeah, there's no way that you should take any of this as legal advice. You may take this as dork advice and go forth into the world to dork out about traffic court yourself if you like. But we're not lawyers. We don't know what you should really do or what you really shouldn't do. Why is this disclaimer here and not in front of, let's say, the perfume episode? Well, because it has to do with traffic court and legality. All right, let's get into it. Hi, it's Jackie Kashian. Welcome to the Dork Forest. We're in my living room with one of my favorite comics.
Wow.
Seriously, you are a dry, silly, funny man.
That's fun.
That's all good.
I like that.
Ryan Stout, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be here. Again, we did this in Minneapolis.
1,000 years ago.
But we just kind of chit-chatted about comedy. Today we have an agenda.
Who did you do it with? Did you do it with Chad?
It was just you and me.
Just me and you?
You cranked out a bunch of them.
Oh, it was the 20-year anniversary.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
all
you
good.
had a bunch, and then I came and I did one, and we didn't get into anything specific.
No, we just kind of blathered around it all, which I think is fair enough.
I like doing that.
That's a dorkdom in itself.
It is. Well, I mean, we talked a lot about comedy.
Yeah. We dorked out pretty hardcore about
we
comedy.
did, which is easy. It's always very easy to do that because I think the other people that love comedy who don't do it, they have a very narrow kind of perspective on it.
Right.
And then the other people who don't care about comedy at all don't care.
Don't care at all. And then they're like, oh, you're going down this rabbit hole. I'm going to go listen to the rest of the podcast. I just did an episode that dropped today. There's 2 more episodes before yours will air, but it was the wrestling episode with Mike Schmidt, a 40-year-old boy, and Andy Peters of Wondertown. Mm-hmm. And they talked about wrestling and would not stop talking about wrestling. We're at an hour 47.
And they're just getting started.
And I'm like, I'm turning the recorder off. Come back another day. And they're like, what day? What day do I get to come back?
We need to pick this up. We're getting stuff done here.
We missed the beginning of wrestling. We missed everything past 1994. So I was like, okay, well, fair enough. Things.
I'm
there'll
sorry.
be another episode.
I'm sorry. Your dorkery did not get explored to the fullest extent.
So we met at the Improv most recently, over at the Improv, the bar, which is now designed like a Michael J. Fox movie from 1986.
It is very hip Marriott bar in the Midwest-esque.
I think Michael J. Fox is doing blow in the, it's very city lights. I want to see a lady with a very large shoulder pads.
Well, when you're sitting at the bar and you're facing the back wall and there's there's doors on the left in the corner there.
All it needs is a giant mirror.
I don't know what is in there.
Where's
but I assume
door?
that's where Michael J. Fox is.
That would be where he would be. And then on the other side, there is a wallpaper done in black paisley.
Yeah.
Black paisley, ladies and gentlemen, and white leather bar stools with some sort of bullet ball-bearing
accents.
Yeah. It's so bad.
Ooh.
So you said, have you ever had a traffic court door con? And
Yeah.
I said, not to my...
No, nobody's ever gotten into traffic court.
Nobody's ever talked about traffic court. What happened? First,
Well,
let's just talk about what happened.
Well, I was driving
Your vehicle.
my vehicle. I'm a motorist in this scenario. And I was approaching a sign that said no right turn school days. And I knew the sign was there.
Right. You saw it.
Well, I knew it was there well before I even got to that intersection. And I knew it was a Wednesday.
Okay.
And that phrasing in my head had irked me about no right turn school days.
Right.
Because how am I supposed to know?
Right.
I didn't even know where the school was.
Oh.
It is that difficult to see in this particular city block. So I approached the sign, I had a green light, and I made my right turn.
Yeah.
Completely guilty.
Yeah?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, completely guilty. But
Okay.
there's nothing there to be seen to like indicate that a school's there, to indicate that it's a school day. There were no cops in sight. And I made the right turn, and then a police officer just walked out in front of my car on La Brea. I'm headed south. And they just walked out from between two cars that were parked and just like waved me to the side of the road.
Like he had been doing it all day long.
Oh, he had. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I at this point I knew like, okay, don't say anything.
Always a good choice with cops.
Yeah, don't say anything.
Right.
Just take the ticket and then decide later.
Right.
Don't admit anything.
No.
Nothing.
Say nothing?
Say nothing, because what's so strange is they have so many sneaky questions to try to get you to incriminate yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know how fast you were going? Well, this is nice, because if I say yes, I know that I was breaking the speed limit. If I say no, well, now I'm negligent, and I don't know how fast I was going. So
Right.
why don't you tell me? Like, there's no good answer.
Right. Wait, aren't there... Oh, wait, you did bring manila envelopes, which I find awesome.
Well, look at these. This is everything that I took to court with me.
Okay, because it happened.
Look at all... Well, and I
Yeah.
don't even know if we'll get into any of this.
Right.
I just have it.
You just
in
have-
case I have to reference something. I mean, I've got 90 different pictures of the intersection if you want to see them. But for a
What is the
podcast...
cross street? What is the cross street?
It's at Clinton and La Brea.
Clinton and La Brea. What is a major cross...
It's a private Jewish academy,
Okay.
which means they're in school on Sundays,
Oh, they are.
sometimes on Saturdays, sometimes
But not on
Wednesday,
Fridays.
sometimes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they're not in school. It depends on their schedule, which, by the way, you cannot find on the internet.
Oh.
And I've tried to like go to the school and ask for a schedule, and
Yeah.
security won't let me in because it's a private campus.
Right.
I don't have a student there.
Right, you're an adult
I'm not
man.
a parent. They're
Right.
like, well, you have to go over to this place and go talk to one of the rabbis and ask them for a schedule. And I'm like, how do you want me to obey your no right turn school day sign
Right.
when you won't tell me when it's a school day?
Yeah.
Now,
All right.
what's amazing is everybody's like, well, Ryan, come on. It's a Wednesday. You know a Wednesday is a school day. I'm like, do I know that?
Right.
Is that the case?
And it turns out it is not the case.
Yeah.
Because of this kind of school it is.
Yeah, could randomly not be a school day. Who knows?
Wow. For me, I tend to let this stuff go almost immediately and give everyone $80. But I admire the fact that you're like, this is not clear. Do you know that there was a sign when I first moved here? All of the highway signs would say things like San Bernardino Freeway South, and you had to know where the fuck San Bernardino was. And like, it didn't say South. That's right. It just said San Bernardino Freeway, and then the other way it was like Pacoima Freeway or Bakersfield.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't know where I'm going.
I have no idea where I'm going. So, an artist made a sign, and it was a 5 sign, and it said 5 South.
Uh-huh.
And in the night, and it looked exact. It was to scale. It was perfectly to all the specs. Climbed up and bolted it to the highway. And it took them 2 weeks to figure it out, the highway system. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to leave it because it's clear.
The artist rendition is helping.
The artist.
Yes. It was excellent interpretation of what we wanted to communicate
That we were somehow unable to.
that they solidified.
Yeah, that they solidified with the words 5 north.
Yeah.
Or 5 south or whatever the hell it was. It was okay. So the first question I have is because I read an article that said the police can set you up. You're not supposed to answer questions at all.
Right.
But I don't know how you don't answer questions to an officer.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of online resources say when they ask something like, "Do you know how fast you were going?" You just keep maintaining eye contact, and you don't give a response.
Right.
And then if it's getting too long and awkward, you just say, "How can I help?" Yeah. You can always communicate with not only police but judges by asking questions.
Oh.
Because questions don't incriminate you in any way.
Okay.
And so you always try to do that. Always ask questions.
Okay.
Because it doesn't...
Like if he says, do you know why I pulled you over? Or do you know how fast you were going? You could say, do you need to see my license?
Am I being detained?
Am I being detained?
Yeah. Okay. Which is an interesting question because the police always like to straddle this line where, oh, we're stopping you. You're not allowed to leave.
Right.
But we're not detaining you. And you're like, well, if I'm not free to leave, then I'm being detained.
Right. That by definition, I'm being detained.
Because once the police detain you, now you're in a whole different legal set of rules.
Ah.
And they don't want you to be playing in those rules.
Aha.
They want you to do everything that they tell you to do just out of the goodness of your heart.
And for the most part, I do.
Right. Most people do. And
Right.
and that's how court works too. Everybody who's in traffic court agrees this is a sham. They're just trying to take our money. Mm-hmm. There's not even a prosecutor, but I'm being prosecuted. Like, where is the evidence? It's just my word against theirs.
Wow.
Like, everyone believes that, but then they all go up and they go, yes, Your Honor, guilty. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the lesser. Fine. I'm going to go home now.
Oh
like,
my God.
And my question is, why do you have the information but just agree to it?
Yeah.
And so when I started down this kind of path of I'm going to fight my traffic ticket.
Right.
It was just going to be Law and Order. I couldn't wait to get the cop on the stand and ask a bunch of hard questions about school days. And by the way, the term school day isn't in the penal code or the vehicle code. It's not
Right.
defined anywhere.
Who made the sign?
The city, they're oddly enough all over the place,
Okay.
but what they don't bother saying is, well, is a school day based on the public school schedule? Is it based on whatever school the sign is
closest
nearest
school?
to? Nobody's saying anything. They just want you to
Wow.
obey it. And then I kind of, I knew that would be an interesting way to kind of battle in court.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's up to a judge to be like, well, Mr. Stout, come on, it's a Wednesday in May. You should have assumed it was a school day.
Right. It's a common sense law.
Ignorance is no excuse.
Oh, right.
I'm not saying I'm ignorant to the law. I'm ignorant to what your sign says.
Right. Your
Because-
your sign is not clear.
Yeah, and the other thing is nearly all
How
traffic
much
laws.
was the fine? And plus, it was
well,
a point, right?
it was going to be points on my license.
Right.
And it was going to be, this is what I asked the officer. I did ask, how much is the fine? And she said, well, it's going to be about $35. But then there's probably going to be fees, filing fees, and secretary stuff and whatever else they do to
Wow.
process the
Right.
ticket, processing fees.
Right.
And she was like, so it'll probably come out to be about $240. And I was like, really? It's a $35 ticket, but $240 because you have to hand it to somebody.
And
who's
they
gonna,
have to hand it to somebody else, and they have to put it in
yeah,
the internet.
They're
put it
gonna
online,
they're gonna
and,
scan it and this and that.
and then they got to mail you a reminder.
Yeah, and I didn't want to pay that. That
Oh.
irked me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I actually was on my way to therapy when I got the ticket. I was on my way to therapy. And I talked to
like
my
that.
therapist, and I told my therapist, look, I broke the law. I was wrong. I should probably just pay this thing. And he said, yes.
Okay.
He said, that is an interesting way that you should think about it.
Okay.
Because you are accepting responsibility.
I like it. I'm pouring some coffee.
What is stealing, basically? What does that come down to? Like, is it the moral thing to do to fight this thing if you knew you were breaking the law? And then the more I got in my head about it after I left therapy and became an elitist and self-righteous, I went, I don't deserve this.
Then you're self-righteous. You were like, but I'm right, and this is a fun game for me.
Well, and the other problem is the more I drove by that intersection,
Right.
I just kept seeing people getting pulled over. And I was like, this feels awful. Like, if there was even like a light on the sign that was illuminated during school days.
Oh, right.
Or turned off when it's not a school day. Like,
Right.
that would make sense to me.
Right,
At least
right.
give me a hint that I'm doing something wrong when I'm doing
Yeah.
it wrong.
Holy smokes.
But the other problem was I knew that fighting the ticket wasn't going to create any sense of justice. It was just going to get me out of the ticket. Like,
It
in order to
wouldn't
get the
change
sign,
yeah, how do
no,
you?
I would have to talk to my city council person. Fighting in traffic court is the wrong venue to create this change.
Fair enough.
So then I got on a new kick, which was, what the hell are they doing over at traffic court? What is going on there?
Do you know the history of traffic court? Has traffic court always been?
Well, we didn't always have cars.
Right? But we've always had some sort
The
of traffic.
Constitution was written before cars.
But there were trolls and there were bridges, right? There were trolls and
there were
bridges.
trolls and bridges. You had to pay toll.
Right.
There was a fine.
Right? And let's say you tried to go around the bridge. What would the troll do? Huh? Probably get on you and eat your bones. So
And you go down screaming, this is unconstitutional.
yeah.
I have rights, troll. I have rights.
Right.
So that is kind of one of the more interesting things that I found on the internet. I mean, it is amazing because you just get online and you can find whatever you want to find.
Sure.
Like, everything that I'm doing is not new. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people going into traffic court with motions saying, this is unconstitutional. And I will not stand for this. And the
Right.
court goes, well, listen, we're going to dismiss your case, but not for the reason that you think.
Wow.
And so everybody leaves, but still there's no judge that will admit, like, oh, yeah, we're prosecuting you without a prosecutor and without any evidence.
Right. It's
We're
all
just trying to
hearsay.
get you to agree.
Right.
I under the advice of my girlfriend's father, who's a defense attorney in Texas.
Yes.
He said, well, Ryan, you should actually... He was really interested in the whole no right turn school day thing.
Yeah.
And he said, you should go to traffic court and watch how it's done. Because that'll make you more comfortable the day
When you
of.
go.
Yeah.
Go. Okay. So you went to it like theater.
I did.
Excellent.
And I sat there and
Did
I
you bring
watched.
popcorn?
And the bailiffs were watching me. Because as the room starts to empty out, they're like, well, there's only one case left and there's two people sitting there.
Right. What is this?
Who's this asshole in the blue sweatshirt? What's he doing?
You didn't wear your suit?
Not for theater.
Not for theater.
Yeah.
You dressed down.
That was something somebody asked me. They're like, Ryan, did you wear a suit to traffic court? I said, absolutely. And they just went,
Well, because you wear a suit on stage to do the stand-up comedy. With,
Yeah.
With the talking out of your joke hole.
I'm very comfy in a suit.
Did you have a suit from childhood? Were you given a suit when you were a baby?
A comedy baby. I was about 19. I started wearing a suit on stage.
Okay.
Yeah, because
People should know, by the way, RyanStout.com. Stout like the beer.
Yeah.
Ryan like the word Ryan.
I like the word Ryan.
YouTube.com/Ryan Stout. Facebook.com/Ryan Stout. Twitter.com/Stout Ryan. Stout Ryan.
There's a web developer from Montana
Oh,
who's Ryan Stout.
that asshole.
He
You should
early
take him to court.
adopted.
He was an early adopter of the Stout name.
He swooped right in, but I got everything else.
Oh, good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. All right.
So I started looking into just, stuff on the internet, just resources to see what people had to say about traffic court. And it was baffling that pretty much what they do is they just try to get you to agree.
Right.
You go to arraignment and they say, all right, guilty, not guilty, no contest.
Yeah.
And you think those are your choices.
Right. Are they not your choices?
Those are not your choice. There's another choice. You could demur, which is you could submit a motion to say there's no evidence here.
Right.
So we should
demur.
not have a case. So I wrote a demur when I went to my arraignment.
Yes.
I was third,
Okay.
and I was hoping to be later, because at this point all I've
Is
seen.
that the cool spot? Is that the sweet spot?
Well,
later?
all I'd seen at this point was actual trials. I had not been to an arraignment.
Okay.
We should go
Yeah.
back to when I'm sitting there
Yeah.
watching people. All day long, I watched a full session of afternoon court. Only two people said, no, not guilty. I want to fight my case.
Yeah.
One of the guys said, yeah, I was convicted of straddling the white line. Here's photos of that area. There was construction happening. There's no white line.
Yeah.
And the judge looked at it, showed it to the officer. The officer looked at it, and the judge went, listen, what do you think the police's job is? Which I thought was an interesting...
Wow.
I mean, this guy looks like he just proved his whole fucking case. And now, Judge, you're going to come down on him. And this guy, very large black guy, very soft-spoken.
Right.
Was driving a big Escalade.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing got pulled over for racist reasons.
Right.
But the judge says, what do you think the police do? And he says, protect and serve. And the judge says, yeah, I hear that a lot because that's what's written on the side of the vehicle. I think it's their job to come when you call 911. I don't think it's fun for them to write traffic tickets.
What?
But in this instance,
It might have been.
I cannot see enough evidence to warrant guilt. So I'm dismissing this case. So good for him. Great.
All right.
And he kind of stuttered, and the judge goes, do you understand what happened? And he goes, yeah. He said, okay, well, you can go.
Oh, my God.
You can get your money back.
Yeah.
And that was the first case, and I'm sitting there going, he's the very first guy all day long who introduced any evidence.
Right.
He had pictures.
On either side.
Yeah.
On either side.
Yeah. The officer was the first officer to testify. It was very blah, blah, blah.
Right.
On this date, moving this direction, blah, blah, blah.
Things happened.
This thing, I wrote him a ticket.
Right.
The second guy to fight his case just went up, and they were like, you're convicted, or you're being charged with going the wrong way down a one-way. And this poor Latino kid, he's like 19.
Right.
He goes, yeah, but like there was a bike. And the judge goes, I'm sorry, are you talking to me, or are you going to question the officer? No, just talk to you. So you were going the wrong way down a one-way street. He says, yeah, but like at the intersection, like there was a bike. And I'm just
so
sitting
he had to
there.
Go around it? Is that what he's saying?
I don't even know what he's saying. I'm sitting in there in the courtroom just squeezing my fists going, what are you communicating, dude?
Oh.
What are you what story are you trying to say
tell.
here?
Oh.
And so the judge just looks at him. He says, look, I don't understand the circumstance you were in, but whatever happened at the intersection, you turned right and you started going the wrong way down a one-way street. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce your fine, but you're going to you can go to traffic school if you don't want points on your license, or you can take the points on your license, okay? And the kid just nods his head. Okay. Let's move on to the next case.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And
So if you show up, you are guaranteed to get a reduction at the very least.
Yes.
Kind of.
Traffic court is a business in all sense of the words, where the judge was really nice to everybody.
Yeah.
The first question he asked
Customer service?
everybody was, hey, so at your arraignment, you pled not guilty. Would you like to change your plea to guilty for a reduced fine and traffic school? Do you want to do that?
Haggling?
Why don't we do that?
Why don't we do that?
And everybody goes, oh, yeah, yes, Your Honor, yes. Because they're all just trying to play the odds that the cop isn't going to show up.
Right.
They're all just hoping.
Did the cops show up every time?
Everybody.
Just the two.
Before court gets started, they dismiss cases.
Okay.
That's top of court. They go, so-and-so, dismiss, and people are walking out. Thank you, Your Honor. Like, you're doing me such a big favor. And It's like, the cop didn't show up. What do you think the favor is?
Yeah.
Who do you think this guy on the bench is? He's some lawyer who eventually wants to be a judge. He's not even a judge. He's a commissioner.
He isn't?
No.
He's not a judge?
No, they're all commissioners.
It's okay, so there's a different hierarchy of judgedom.
Yes.
Okay.
These guys are all just trying to get, bench time. They're trying to get verdicts.
So if it's like getting your pilot's license.
Yes, and they all
have
have a boss. They all have a boss who looks at what you've got all these dismissed. Why were these dismissed?
Right.
Now the cop
we're
was
trying
there.
to raise money. We're
Yeah.
trying to raise
What are you
money.
doing? Like they have to respond to that. I mean, you think the police have a quota? These commissioners have a quota as well.
Wow. And so they're called commissioners, not judges.
Well, when you're in court, it's Your
They are
Honor.
judges,
They are
yeah.
judges. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But the
if you want to
actual-
get under their skin, you call him commissioner.
And Ryan Stout,
definitely look at the
trying to-
title card on their thing. But anyway, this guy's being really nice to everybody.
Right.
And he's just making deals, and people are walking away going,
Yep.
I only paid $100, not $200. Today was great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they just raped you of your constitutional rights.
Yeah.
And you're thrilled about it because you only had to pay them $100 to do it. How interesting for you. Wow. So I'm sitting there at the end of my my viewership, and the bailiff comes over and says, who are you? Do you have court? I said, no, I'm just here to observe. And I go to get up.
Yeah.
I'm the only one left. And I grab my cell phone out of my coat pocket,
Yep.
out of my sweatshirt pocket. And the judge goes, what is that? Were you recording the proceedings? Give your phone to the bailiff.
What?
Now there's 3 of us standing in court. I was just there to watch. My phone's not even on.
Right.
And I said, no, Your Honor, my phone wasn't even on. I'm just here to watch the proceedings. I have court with you in 2 weeks. He says, hand your phone to the bailiff. I give the bailiff my phone. She looks at it. It's not on. She says, could you turn it on? I said, sure, I'll turn it on. But now they're kind of searching my property.
Right.
And,
what the hell?
and I'm allowing it, and I don't even know why.
Right.
But this is kind of how court works. They just demand things of you.
And then you produce them.
Yeah.
Because you are like, oh, well, they all have epaulets
Well,
on their shirts.
They're going to take me to jail.
They might have, right? I suppose, right?
I don't think they would have. But he said, he was like, look, I'm not wearing makeup today. I can't be on YouTube. And I was like,
the
okay.
hilarity. The
Interesting.
hilarity.
Good. So he said, you have court with me in 2 weeks? What's it for? And I said, well, I don't know if I want to show my hand just yet. He said, oh, come on. And I said, it's for a no right turn school days. And he went, okay.
Okay.
And then they gave my phone back, and I left. Weird. Strange. But what was really odd was every story I read online were all about all these judges who were just really harsh and really mean and just trying to give out sentences. And this guy is just making deals. He's making jokes with people. He's trying to be nice. He's doing everything. And I was like, he must have to see a lot of people. And he must know that his job is to just pull in money.
Right.
He's a used car salesman.
Right.
This guy. Unfortunately, I had to go to arraignment, and he was not my arraignment judge.
Oh, he was. So wait, there are 2 things that happen: arraignment and then the trial.
Yes.
And he was going to be your trial judge?
Right.
Okay, so you have to go to arraignment first. I want to back up briefly here. What about citizens' rights?
Yeah.
So let's talk briefly about that. What rights that you're specifically saying is that we are just told to do things and they don't actually have the right to tell us to do those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like my buddy Alex got pulled over by the police because he had out-of-state plates.
Right.
I have no idea.
That's not a rule.
I have no idea how they can choose to pull him over and technically detain him. Right. On that one little factor. And
like,
they
yank
pulled
him around here.
They pulled him out of his car. This is by like Father's office right there on where is that? On Venice.
Okay.
Yeah. And they pull him over. They pull him out of his car. They handcuff him, and they say, this is for your protection as much as it is ours. For your protection as much as it is ours. And then they ask if they can search his vehicle. And he has nothing to hide, so he says. And he says, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Alex, first of all,
how did he end up in handcuffs?
You don't let yourself be handcuffed unless you're under arrest.
Right.
Why? That doesn't even make sense what they're telling you.
Right.
You don't allow that to happen.
Right.
You tell them, if you handcuff me, I better be under arrest.
Yes.
Or I'm suing you for false arrest.
Yes.
You know. False imprisonment, too, because you're detaining me.
Right.
You don't allow that to happen. Why would you allow it? Usually your rights are attacked just when you allow it. And usually that's because people don't know their rights.
Yeah.
They really don't. I barely know my rights. And I've been reading about them a lot lately.
Right.
And they're still baffling.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've had 3 times I've talked to the police.
Yeah.
One time I was 20 and I put an empty beer can on a cop car because I was hilarious. And he said, pick it up. And that was the end of that interaction.
Yeah.
I picked it up.
Yeah.
And the next time I was pulled over for drunk driving, and the officer said, "Have you been drinking?" And I said, "I'm drunk." And he said, "Wow, you shouldn't have said that. Please step out of the vehicle."
Wow.
And then I was arrested. And then
Where did that happen?
Minneapolis, Minnesota, going down a one way the wrong way. Wrong way, one way.
I'm drunk.
I'm drunk, I said. I don't know a lot about.
There is no better self-incrimination than that.
Have you?
The courtroom would giggle, I believe.
I'll tell you, the drunk tank did. I was referred to, I believe the exact quote is, "You're the dumbest white girl I ever seen in my life."
Wow.
And so 2 years later, when I got my second DUI, I had learned a little bit, and the judge, the cop pulled me over and he said, "Have you been drinking?" And I said, "A lot, but I'm okay." Again, say nothing in this case.
Yeah.
Is that what you're supposed to? Especially drunk driving. How can we help the drunk drivers of the world?
Are you asking me to self-incriminate?
I am not.
Is a great question in return. Have you been
excellent.
drinking? Are you asking me to self-incriminate?
Yeah.
Either way.
And then what
yes
do they
or
say?
no. Well, I don't know what they say.
Right.
But you can just keep asking questions.
Right.
No, I don't want to take a breathalyzer. Yes, you're going to have to arrest me and take my blood down at the station.
Yes.
That's going to have to happen.
Right.
Especially if you know you've been caught.
Yes.
You
might as well just have him jump through every hoop in the world.
Right.
You know what? And the thing is some people would be like, "Well, no, you're just being a dick when you know you're guilty." And it's like, you know what? When I go through the TSA, I make them pat me down.
Me too. Every time.
Single time.
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, you're at work.
Yeah.
This is your job. This is a theater of security."
Yeah.
Which is clearly not working.
Yeah.
And
I want to be part of the show.
I
want other people to walk past me while I have my arms up.
Yep. And you're asking me if I have any medical devices.
Yeah.
I do not. I do not have any.
Do I want a private screen room? No. I want to be on display.
This is it.
That's why
It's
I'm doing
happening.
this.
Yeah. And you're going to do it right. And
Yeah.
we're going to I'm going to stand here and pretend that you're the Mossad. Let's just do it right.
I like to
if we're
ask them
doing it.
questions too. I'm like, in San Antonio, they pat down the bottoms of my feet. You guys never do that here. Why
Yeah,
not?
it's always different. You
Yeah.
know what? And sometimes they're like, "Well, why don't you want to go through the radio thing?" And I was like, "Because I don't want to. How about that?"
Yeah.
And none of your business. None
Yeah.
of your business.
Fourth Amendment. I don't know. I
well,
just don't
Penn and
like
Teller-
you to search me.
You know what Penn and Teller sell for $5? A metal copy of the Bill of Rights with the search and seizure amendment, which I believe is the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah.
Highlighted in red, and what they want you to do, because they are dicks,
Yeah.
is to carry it through the metal detector.
Yeah.
And then when they make you go through again, you're supposed to take it out, hand it to the TSA officer, and say, "Could you hold my rights?
Yeah.
While I do this again."
Please let me.
And I was like, I bought 2 of them, and I've never had the guts to do it.
What's weird is some of those guys are just complete assholes. I
Yeah.
read a really interesting article about how they have power with no status. Or not even them. I applied it to them, but people who have power but no status tend to be dicks.
Right. Right. Why wouldn't they be?
Because this is the
That's
only
all they
place in
have.
life. Like when they go home, they're still a high school dropout.
Yeah,
they're still,
they're still a mess.
paid like a fast food worker.
Right. It's not great. It isn't
Yeah.
great. And the thing is if you're going to do it, really do it.
Yeah.
I want to live in a police state. If we're going to live in a police state.
Right.
Fucking run it up the flagpole.
Yeah.
Make me salute.
Well, the idea too that now they're gonna when you book an airline ticket, they're gonna God, what was it? It's something about they're gonna look up your travel history, and they're gonna look up
does that
various
have to do with it?
various things you've done on the internet, stuff that is technically public knowledge, but they're gonna look into it.
Are they? Is it like Lyft, where they get to look at my my Facebook page?
I hope so. Yeah, that's
Good Lord. Okay, so
citizens' rights.
We don't know 'em.
We don't know them, and usually if you're
Constitution.
dealing with a cop, you can say, "I know my rights. You have to respect my rights," and they'll kind of they'll back up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's some of the videos on YouTube of people just standing on a public sidewalk, and just
Giving up their rights?
just videotaping the cops as the cops
yeah.
tell them like, "You have to move along."
Yeah.
No, I don't. This is a public sidewalk.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
And the cops go, "Well, come on. No, if you could just move that way, sir." No, I don't. You can't tell me where to go.
Yes.
I can stand right here on the public sidewalk in front of this private building all day long. You can't tell me to leave.
Right. I'm not.
And the cops go, well, we can stand here with you.
Okay.
Okay, great. I hope you enjoy that. A lot of these people are doing that while they spread really malicious information about, do you know what happens when a fetus is aborted? You know, they're doing stuff like that. What? I'm just trying to talk to the school children. You can't tell me to leave. So, I mean, they
aren't necessarily right. That
they're not
really knows
the
their
icon
citizens' rights. Right.
Yeah,
they're not the
for what we're
greatest-
talking about.
The greatest people in the world. But I know, and that okay. So
let's
you
do
go
this.
To your arraignment.
I go to arraignment,
Yes.
and this is where my rights are going to really come into play because they say I'm up third. I was hoping I could watch other people plea first, and the judge is guilty, not guilty, no contest. Guilty, not guilty, no contest. And everybody's going, well, Your Honor, the thing was I can't listen to your story. I can only take your plea.
Because it's the arraignment.
It's arraignment. And people don't understand the order of things.
Right.
Because they just assume I'm in court. I just want to get this over with.
Right.
Let me say all my things.
That's
And
what I would want.
No.
You don't get to.
This judge is a different guy. He's just here guilty, not guilty, no contest. That's all he wants to hear. Or you can demur.
Demur.
Yeah, a demur is basically.
Demur, I think, is a word from my romance novel.
I just want to do this. I just want to be cute
I'm going
and
to be
demure.
adorable and demure. Yes, but demur. Say it again.
Demure.
Demure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me. I'll actually pull out my demur that I wrote.
Do it.
Basically, what that said was, you've given me a notice to appear.
Yes.
That's what my ticket was.
Yes.
So it told me to appear. Here I am.
Yes.
What are the charges?
Yes.
Who's bringing about the charges?
Oh.
Who's prosecuting me?
Right.
I get to confront my accuser, right?
Right.
All you have is a witness.
Right.
And the witness, by the way, is just somebody who has a story. That's all they are.
Right. That's the cop.
The cop is saying, I think I saw something. Okay, well, how is that enough evidence to prosecute me?
Right.
So here it is. Here's my 16-page document.
Did you hand it to the judge?
Oh, when I got up, they said, Mr. Stout, how do you plea? I said, I have 3 motions I'd like to file with the court. One is for a verified complaint. The second is a demur to the notice to appear, and the third is for discovery. Now, the demur basically is like what I'm saying. Your notice to appear is worthless. It's a civil document.
Yes.
That you're trying to use as
to beat me to death.
To charge me with a criminal act.
Yeah.
You're using a civil document to charge me with a criminal act? This is not a charging instrument. You can't do that. This is worthless. This is just a piece of paper.
Right.
The other thing is a verified complaint, which is, well, since this is worthless, why don't you give me a piece of paper from the court that tells me the facts in evidence, everything that I did wrong, and also the prosecutor who's in charge who signs that piece of paper under penalty of perjury.
Yes.
Give me that. If we're going to have a criminal case, let me know what I'm up against so that I can properly prepare a defense.
Yeah.
And then the third is discovery, basically saying, look, whatever evidence you have against me, I get to see before trial.
Right.
Again, so I can prepare my thing.
Yeah.
So I'm up third. I say that. I submit all of my... I'm waving pieces of paper
lawyer?
around. I did not. This is all on the internet. You can even find these things on the internet.
Templates. You can find templates.
You can find templates and fill in your own information, and you read them. And this is
very nice.
This was the response from the judge.
This document?
No. This is what he said. He said, could we wait till the end for these?
Yeah.
He looks at the bailiff, and then he uses the back of his hand to wave me away. Could we just wait for the end for these? And then the bailiff says, Mr. Stout over here.
Yeah.
I get out of line, and then he gives it to the next person. Guilty, not guilty, no contest.
Oh.
Because they don't want the rest of the court hearing.
To see that you can just do this.
Yeah. We don't want you to know that you have rights.
Yeah.
We want you to play the game.
Right.
So basically what happens is the bailiff says, you have motions? Like he's never heard the word. I said, yes, these, and I'd like them stamped by the clerk.
Yeah.
So he takes them to the clerk. The clerk looks at him. I'm sitting in court, just waiting.
Yeah.
Bailiff comes back over. He's got my motions. He said, we have to send you to a different court.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they send me upstairs to a whole different court.
Right.
Where now I'm last in line.
Right.
I walk in. I go to the clerk. I say, yeah, I have these motions I'd like filed.
Yep.
I was at another court. They sent me up here. He looks at my motions. He scowls a little bit and he stamps them and he signs them. He says, well, now you need to know what to do with those. Like, he doesn't even want me to know that, because the request for discovery I have to I have to give to the DA.
Oh.
The district attorney needs that because technically they're the person prosecuting me.
Yeah.
Even though you never see him.
You never see him except for on television.
Yeah.
He's a guy in a suit that
and
he
by the
shouldn't
way,
be able
the
to
DA
afford.
the DA will willingly tell you, "Oh, I'm not prosecuting you."
Yeah.
And then you have to pull out the penal code and say, "Look, all cases of the people versus me
city.
are you. You're the person in
You're the
charge. And if you're not, you have to tell me who works for you that is in charge."
Yeah. Did you have to do that?
Well, here was the problem. At my second arraignment, technically, I get up there.
Which is upstairs.
Upstairs. I'm the last to go up.
Right.
I'm kind of excited because now I've had 100% more experience in front of a judge. He says, Mr. Stout, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, no contest. Your Honor, I have 3 motions to file with the court. One is for a verified complaint, another is a demur to the notice to appear, and the third is for discovery. And he goes, Mr. Stout, why do you need a verified complaint? I said, well, because I don't know what these charges are. I don't know who's charging me. I don't know who's bringing about the charge. I don't know if is there a damaged party here?
Yeah.
That's the other weird thing about traffic court. It's the only time you go to court where there's nobody complaining.
Right. It's a victimless crime.
Yeah, there's been no physical harm. There's no property damage. There's no monetary damage.
Right.
They're just saying that you did something wrong.
Yeah.
And so he sighs and he goes, okay, but that aside, you've got your notice to appear. That has the information on it. I said, this doesn't tell me who's prosecuting me.
Right.
And he says, the people of California are prosecuting you. And I said, well, that's not on here.
Right. Yeah.
And he says, okay, listen, what is this demur to the notice to appear? I said, well, that's everything that we're talking about right now. I said, I don't know what the charges are. I don't know who's bringing them about. You told me to be here. This is a notice to appear. I appeared. And he says, Mr. Stout, I'm going to ask you again. How do you plea? Guilty, not guilty, no contest.
Right.
And I said, Your Honor, I cannot plea because I would be pleading to an assumption.
Right.
I'm just presuming what the charges are. Until you tell me the charges, I can't raise a meaningful defense.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not refusing to plea. I'm telling you I cannot plea at this time.
Right.
Now, that's important because when you refuse to plea, the judge can enter a plea for you.
Oh, there you go.
Here's what happens, though. They miscite that section of the penal code, and they always enter a plea for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He says, Mr. Stout, if you don't enter a plea, I'm going to enter a plea. Actually, first he looked at the bailiff, and he says, can you imagine if I was Judge so-and-so?
Yeah.
And then he looked at me, he said, I would have you in jail for a night thinking about what you're doing right now.
Right.
And in my head, I didn't even feel my heart speed up.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you for a legal document.
Yeah.
And then I said,
Did you say you didn't say that?
I didn't say that. I said, Your Honor, at the bottom of my ticket, it says vehicle code 40513. And in that vehicle code, it says that at my arraignment, I can ask for a verified complaint. So we're at arraignment. I'm just asking for the verified complaint.
Right on.
It is my right to do that.
Yes.
And he says, Mr. Stout, that aside, why do you need it? And he
Because
won't
it's your
let
right.
go.
It's your right to have
He
it.
said, I'm going to ask you one more time, and if you don't give me a plea, I'm going to enter a plea for you. Guilty, not guilty, no contest. I said, I cannot plea at this time. He says, great, not guilty. Go to the cashier. He just sends me along.
Right.
Doesn't want to acknowledge that anything's wrong. Oh, this was the other thing. He said, I'm dismissing all your motions. Now, I don't know why he's dismissing the motions. He's not citing any sort of penal code. He's not doing anything to prove that, what he's doing is legal. He's just dismissing and then entering a plea.
There's no recording devices that are allowed in any courtroom, right?
Right. I mean, usually, you are talking to a microphone, and so is the judge. So
and there is a court reporter.
There's no court reporter. You can ask
really?
for one.
Okay.
You can submit a motion for one. You can also
That could also be dismissed.
you can submit a motion for you to record your own proceedings.
Right.
I didn't do any of that.
Right.
But I'm wondering if there is some sort of record of my time there.
Yeah.
I intended to go to the court and ask.
Right.
But I got busy.
You go. Yeah, it turns out.
I spent 3 days in court as was, and
yeah,
I'm a little
that's
busy
plenty.
afterwards.
That's plenty.
So I
go.
go to the cashier.
Right.
And where am I standing? Last in line.
Of course.
So as they're like shutting down, I'm paying. And this is what I get for standing up for my rights. I'm last. I spend more time there.
Right. And you still had to pay the fine.
Yes, they made you pay it to make sure. I mean, they call it bail because if you don't show up for your trial, they keep
then they get to keep it.
But it's not really bail. You're kind of, that's the other problem. If you're guilty, they keep it. And then where does it go? It goes toward the city that
Right.
pays the judge's paycheck.
Right.
So he kind of has a vested interest
It's
in saying, guilty.
Yeah.
Give me the money.
yeah.
Guilty.
This was your Judge Meyer Lansky by any chance?
Who is
Was it-
that?
That's the mob guy, the famous mob guy. Worked with Bugsy Siegel, and I might have to stand up and get more coffee.
Okay.
Feel free to keep telling that story.
To know, I'll just yell it to you in the kitchen. Will you edit this, or are we just going to have dead air right here while I talk and hum? Is it usually this loose?
It's very loose.
Ah.
Mike Schmidt was upset that I went and got the mail.
You're like, excuse me, I have things that can't wait.
Expecting a check.
I ended up going to, sure, give me a little. There you go. I talked to my girlfriend's father again, and he's not interested at all in this idea that things are unconstitutional. He's like, Ryan, you just have to focus on developing your case. Because he's really interested in this point that no right turn school days, there shouldn't be no,
he's really
there should be no
interested in the
ticket.
sign.
Yeah. And as a defense attorney, he's in court all the time.
Right.
Now, I end up going to trial, and I show up. I see my friend, the judge.
Right, that you had seen just 2 weeks earlier.
Again, people are going up, and they don't understand the order of things. They go up, and they say, the judge says, would you like to change your plea? And they go, no, see, the thing that happened, Your Honor, was, no, you can't talk to me. I'm going to ask you if you want to change your plea. If you want to continue with the trial, then the officer will testify. Then you can question the officer. If you finish that, then you can tell me your side of the story.
Wait, so if you have pleaded not guilty, will they still ask you if you want to change your plea?
Absolutely.
And then,
Actually, everybody that's there is pleaded not guilty.
okay, so
Yeah.
the first question is, do you want to change your plea? And the first answer, if you want to continue, is no.
No, I'm going
to continue.
So when everybody's going up, do you want to change your plea? Yes, I'd love to change my plea for a lesser fine.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
They all leave. They
deals.
all take the deal. They all leave instantly. This one guy, he says, no, Your Honor, I'm not guilty. Okay, well, then I'm going to let the officer testify. The officer gives their bullshit. Well, he was moving this direction, blah, blah, blah. White vehicle, very boring, very
Right.
technical. It's something they've read off a piece of paper.
Right.
And they've committed to memory.
That's it.
And that's it. And oddly enough, before court even began, I saw my officer, and I went over. I said, "Are you here for Ryan Stout?" And I'm dressed in a suit. I look very lawyer-esque.
Yeah.
And she says, "Yes." I said, "Well, can I ask you a question?" She said, "Sure." I said, "Am I Ryan Stout or am I his attorney?" And she said, "You're Ryan Stout." And I just said, "Okay," just to fuck with her head a little bit. Okay. And by the way, she knows that I'm not an attorney because the attorney's already got to go in. Like, they've got it set up so you can't even pull tricks like that.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Like if somebody brings their attorney.
The attorneys sit on one side of the court. The officers sit on one side of the court. Everybody else has to sit in the middle. And I even tried sitting with the attorneys at one point.
Yeah.
And then a bailiff came over and said, "Are you an attorney?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you have to move to the middle." Okay. I was just going to sit with all the other suit guys.
Yeah. I was just.
I thought I would be able to blend in and get away with it.
Yeah. Wow. This theater. of traffic court. I hate them.
Yeah, no,
and I'm a tax and pay fucking Democrat.
they're awful.
I'm like, I want to pay for power lines and sadly drones, but and education. I want to pay for things.
Yeah.
And isn't there another way?
Other than taking people's hard-earned money, I don't know if there is, because even that isn't working. We're still terribly in debt.
Terribly in debt. Okay, so keep going.
So I get up. This guy who's questioning the officer doesn't even have questions for the officer. Everybody skips that and then just tries to tell their story. I'm like, this is your chance to prove that they're an unreliable witness.
Right.
This is totally your option.
Right.
And
this guy's a slut. Do you see how he's dressed?
Well,
let's do this.
One of the biggest things that my girlfriend's dad taught me was you always ask yes/no questions.
Okay.
You don't let the officer testify. You don't leave an open-ended question where they get to opinionate.
Right.
You know, where they
Don't
get
let
to
'em tell
opine
their
about what
story.
happened. No. So you do things like, so on the date in question, what was the make and model of the car you pulled over before me? Oh, I don't remember. Okay, and what was the name of the driver you pulled over after me? No, I don't know. Okay, so to be clear, you don't remember the car you pulled over before or after, but you remember pulling me over. How is your memory so selective?
Now that would give him a chance to opine, wouldn't it?
It would a little bit, but
But you set him up. Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't do that because then they would say something that stuck out in their head to just solidify.
Right.
But you keep doing yes/no questions.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you're the prosecutor, you know when you watch Law and Order and they say, didn't you go into that house and shoot that little girl? Wasn't that you? Yes or no? The defense goes, Your Honor, he's leading the witness.
Right.
You're putting words in his mouth.
Yeah.
But when you're the defense, you get to lead the witness all you want.
Oh.
So when you say, you don't remember the car before me and you don't remember the driver after me, so isn't it true that you don't remember me at all?
You don't remember that day at all.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
And beginning sentences just with that simple phrase, isn't it true that,
Yeah.
and then lead the witness wherever the fuck that you want to go.
Oh, Jesus God.
When you're your own defense attorney, you could do that all day long, and that can just work an officer into a corner. And what's
Right.
amazing is, as we know, these officers don't have any experience dealing with people asking them questions.
Right.
Because everybody takes the deal.
Everybody.
So even though they've been trained to talk on the stand, they have no practice.
Right.
They get flustered.
Right.
There was a friend of mine just got a ticket on his bicycle, and he was in Santa Monica.
Okay.
And the long and short of it was, I told him, I was like, look, you tried to correspond via mail. They claim they didn't get it, so they sent you a failure to appear.
Right.
Which means now you owe $900 on top of your ticket.
Right.
And then you didn't go because you thought you were corresponding via mail, so they sent you a second failure to appear. Now you're in for,
1,800.
yeah, he was up to like $1,200 plus the fine for the
Oh, my
thing.
God.
And then so he shows up to court and he says, he was going to be pissed. He was
Yeah.
like, "This is a sham. I sent in my stuff. You guys didn't get back to me, and that's not my fault."
Right.
I was like, "You can't do that.
You can't do that.
Business. It's a business deal.
That's all it is.
You have to go in and smile and say, Your Honor, I apologize. This is clearly my fault. I tried to correspond via mail. I faxed in this information. I unfortunately no longer have my receipt for when
Right.
that fax was sent in.
Yeah.
However, that is why I didn't respond to the notice to appears.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was corresponding via mail and I was waiting for the court to get back to me. At this juncture, I totally understand that I should have been more responsible.
Uh-huh.
Because at that point, the judge just can nod his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the judge did that, and he said, well, the failure to appear, I can't just let you off scot-free. Like, we're going to have to give you like a $25 fine.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
$25 down from $1,200?
That's a win.
He says, now about this bicycle ticket, crossing a double yellow line, how do you plead? He says, not guilty, Your Honor.
Yeah.
He says, okay, well, now you can question the officer. And
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, you can't be pissed off at this guy.
Yeah.
And my friend didn't even want to fight the ticket. He was like, I was riding my bike on the sidewalk. I
Yeah.
shouldn't have been doing that.
Right.
And I said, did you get a ticket for riding your bike on the sidewalk? He said, no.
Nope.
I said, you got it for crossing a double yellow line. Was there a double yellow line? He said, no. I said, great. So we leave the fucking sidewalk thing out of it.
Right.
So you go up, you ask the officer, here's a picture of the intersection. Can you show me the double yellow line?
Nope.
Well, I can't tell from this photograph, is what the officer said.
Yeah.
He said, but
This is the intersection.
this is the intersection and there's no double yellow line there. And the officer is just flustered.
Yeah.
The officer doesn't know, and he's angry because how dare a citizen question him like this? I'm an officer of the law. No, you're not. You're a witness on the fucking stand.
Yeah.
Answer the goddamn question.
Yeah.
So then the judge went, well, clearly there's not enough evidence. Case dismissed.
So he didn't even have to pay the $25?
No, the 25 was for failure to appear.
Okay, so
but
you had
then
to pay
my
that.
friend goes to the clerk to pay that 25. The clerk goes, honey, he didn't even write that 25 down, so you can just go.
Oh, nice.
So it was almost like the judge had to say, well, the failure to appear, I have to charge you something. He's only doing that for the people listening.
Right.
He's only doing it for the theater.
For the theater of it all.
And what's really amazing, case dismissed. Case dismissed. How about not guilty?
Yeah.
Why doesn't that ever happen in traffic court?
Oh, my God.
Well, because if you're not guilty, that means the police detained you wrongfully.
Wrongfully detained.
It means they wasted your time.
You have a case to sue if you wanted to.
Yeah, but guess that'll never happen.
That'll never happen.
You will never get a not guilty in traffic court. The other thing is,
do you know that?
I know that.
Because of precedent or?
Everything that I've read on the internet, it's one of the things that protects the court.
Okay.
By saying case dismissed, case dismissed. If they violate the fuck out of your rights, like they're
Right.
basically doing to me at this point in my story,
Right.
I've submitted the motions. I've
Right.
done it at the correct time. By the way, if you go to arraignment and then plea not guilty,
Yeah.
you don't get to go to your trial and be like, but the Constitution says I get to see the evidence. They would say, you got your chance at arraignment to bring that up. We're already past that. Once you've entered a plea, you've basically said you understand the evidence against you, and now you're playing ball with us.
Right.
So you never plea. You never, ever, ever even plea. You just keep fighting the court.
Okay.
Now, if they do end up violating your rights, what happens in the end? It's case dismissed. Or say they violate your rights and then you're guilty. Well, now you go to an appellate court and you say they violated my rights, and the appellate court goes, oh, yeah, you're right. Case dismissed.
And then their case dismissed.
Again, case dismissed, though.
That's not
The point
yeah.
is it never gets high enough up the chain to go to the Supreme Court where somebody could argue traffic court is unconstitutional.
Right.
It'll never get that far because people just keep going, oh, case dismissed.
Right.
Oh, it's not that you're not guilty. We dismissed the case due to lack of evidence.
Right.
Oh, there was this procedural error. That's why we dismissed it.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with us
The fact
fucking
that-
you over
Right.
completely.
Oh my
So-
God. You didn't get to work today, so it cost you, somewhere between
Yeah.
$100 and $500 or whatever your
Well,
day.
that's not our fault. There was a procedural error. We would have convicted
You
you
made
if we
the
could have.
procedural error.
Yeah.
Anything there? Nothing.
What's weird too is they say that once the cop writes you a ticket, they have the court will tell you the officer has a year to turn it into the court. That's not true. They have 15 days. They have
Weird.
15 days. That's what the penal code says. And yet you talk to anybody at the court and they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, the officer can turn that in a year from now.
What, any ticket that they write, supposedly the cops think they have a year.
The cops
the
think they
penal
have
code, they
the
have
court.
15
The
days.
court will tell you they have a year, but once you've been cited,
Yeah.
once you've been
Whatever.
committed,
Yeah. You've been ticketed.
yeah, they have 15 days to turn it into the court.
Chop,
and,
chop, turn
and then
it
what's
in.
supposed to happen is a court magistrate is supposed to review it, stamp it as received,
Yep.
and then sign it because they are acknowledging
magistrate.
that the court has received this complaint.
Right.
You know who never stamps the ticket and signs it? The court. Not once ever. They never ever do it.
You've never
I
seen it.
actually went in, I asked to see my original. I was like, I would like to see the court's copy
Yeah.
of my
Ticket.
ticket. And they printed out a photocopy. And they gave me this. They gave me that, which is just a photocopy of the court's copy of the ticket.
Right. Which is the ticket that you received.
And I asked them, I said, when was this received? And they said, oh, well, the officer has a year to turn it in. I said, I understand that, but when was it received? And this woman said, well, it was, we don't know that. We don't know when it was received. I said, how can you not know? There's due process here.
Right.
I'm afforded that by the Constitution, due process.
Yeah.
And so she got some other lady who looked it up in the computer and said, well, it was received on this date. I said, how do we know that? It's not
Right.
stamped and signed.
Right. Like it's supposed to be.
So this is a worthless document. I could have had the case thrown out just based on that.
yeah.
The magistrate needs to stamp
And
the thing is
signed.
received. And they don't.
Right.
They just don't.
Because there's too many of them.
There's too many of them. And then she said, oh, we don't keep the originals. I'm like, really? You don't keep evidence
Right.
in my case?
right.
You
But the
scan
IRS
it
shows
and then
up at my
give me a
house
photocopy.
and wants 7 years of my taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they better.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
We're closing in on an hour here.
I'll make it fast.
Let's talk it up.
So I go to trial. I get
Yeah.
up there. He
Yeah.
says, Mr. Stout, do you want to change your plea? Guilty, not guilty? No contest? Or he said, would you like to change your plea to guilty? I'll send you to traffic school and we'll reduce the fine. And I said, no, Your Honor, I actually object to the court-entered plea. And he goes, court-entered plea? Whoa, whoa, whoa. He starts flipping through my file, looking at documents, looking at my motions that I filed. And he was like, I don't see any proof of service on these. Basically, he's saying I didn't submit these to the DA.
Oh.
And I said, well, first of all, Your Honor, I didn't know I had to because at my arraignment, those motions were dismissed.
Right.
And he said, well, I can't, I don't know what happened at the arraignment.
Yeah.
I said, well, shouldn't my prosecutor have been at the arraignment?
Right.
Like, they didn't object, and these got dismissed anyway. I said, I have a motion here to have my case dismissed. And he said, why? I said, well, there's no cause of action. There's no proof of evidence.
Right.
I said, I have this motion here. Would you read it? He said, no. Tell me what it's about.
No.
And I was like, well, I don't know if I just told you. I mean, no cause of action.
Yeah.
What do you? Oh, I don't know what else you need
To tell you.
And he said, Mr. Seth, there's no proof of service on the documents, so I'm not going to be able to listen to that. He said, Mr. Seth, what kind of law do you practice? I said, I don't, Your Honor. I'm a comedian, so I have all day long to read the penal code.
Yeah.
And the court mumbles.
Right.
Comedian.
Comedian. They'll stand up. RyanStout.com. Did you mention your website? Okay.
I did not. He said, there's a very nice lawyer over there who I know would love to talk to you, Miss So-and-so.
Yeah.
She'll talk to you in the hall pro bono. Isn't that correct? And he looks at her and she nods her head yes, very enthusiastically. Older woman, Kane.
Yeah.
At this point, I should have said, no, Your Honor. I refuse the court-appointed lawyer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like that's what he's giving me.
Right.
It sounds like, oh, this nice woman is going to give you advice as a favor.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But in court, silence is acceptance. So I go in the hall with this woman. She tells
Right.
me, Mr. Stout, this whole I don't understand the charges isn't going to work. I'm like, what do you mean it isn't going to work? I don't understand the charges, and they haven't
Right.
given me the paperwork I've asked for. She was like, look, I've known this guy 30 years. That's not going to play. What
No.
is your case? So
I'm not playing.
I explained her the thing, and she was like, you should go in, just say you had no mal intent, no mal say, no bad mindset, and that you didn't know there was a school there. There's no evidence from these pictures there's a school there, and see if he'll reduce it to a non-moving violation. I was like, fine.
Really?
She leaves.
So she sells you a bill of goods.
Well, I told her, I was like, well, you can't, I can always claim that I don't understand. You can't do that because you're under contract with the court. She said, I am not. And I was like, well, you passed the bar.
Right.
So if you say you don't understand the charges, they're going to say, bullshit, you passed the bar.
Right.
You understand the charges.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lawyer.
Right.
She says, well, look, just tell him no mal say and go in there. So I go in. The judge says, Mr. Stout, where's your lawyer? She had to be someplace else. He said, how about this? No fine, and you go to traffic school. I said, Your Honor, actually, I was hoping we could knock it down to a non-moving violation.
Yeah.
But I'd like to keep that no fine.
Yeah.
He said, I won't give it that to you if you ask, but I'll give it to her if she asks. I said, what? He says, do you want her to ask? I said, yes. Bailiff, summon Miss So-and-so. So the bailiff actually summons, calls down to the front. Don't let So-and-so leave the building. She's been summoned to this courtroom. This woman comes back. Miss So-and-so, Mr. Stout is going to plead guilty to a non-moving violation. No points, no fine. Is that correct? She said, yes, Your Honor. Thank you. And I said, thank you. He said, great, let's get out of here. He bangs his gavel.
Yeah.
Business.
Business.
I took the deal.
You took the deal.
This is no place to stand up for your rights. You
turns
stand
out.
up for your rights, at the Supreme Court level.
Right.
This was never going to get that far.
Not in Van Nuys.
At most, it's going to get dismissed.
Yeah.
At most. But really what you want to avoid is no fine, no points on your license.
Yeah.
And this guy wants points to show to his boss, being
Yeah.
like, I got this guilty plea. I had to
There you
finagle him a little bit, but I got it.
But I got it.
Yeah. So that's my advice to everybody. Know where you're fighting.
Yeah.
Know what can be achieved.
Right. So don't do what you did. is what you're saying.
No, do it, but do it with the thing in mind that if you hassle them and make them do their job, they're likely to either dismiss because they get flustered,
right,
or they're likely to just keep reducing it, and then always try to make a business deal.
Yeah. Wow, Elliot Kashian lives.
By the way, proof of service to the DA. That's going to happen next time.
Proof of service.
Next one, I'm going to... It's easy to do. You go online, you Google proof of service, and there's people all over your area that will deliver any documents you want and get a signature.
To the DA.
To anybody.
Right.
Yeah. You can get proof that I mailed you something for crying out loud.
Of course.
Yeah. So the DA will, next time I go to traffic court, will receive those documents, and I will likely get a letter back that is not signed.
Yep.
Saying, Mr. Stout, you committed this violation, and then they don't sign it under penalty of perjury.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a verified complaint.
Oh, Jesus.
They always try to backdoor, hassle you, and try to go through some loophole.
There's buildings full of these assholes.
Buildings. And you just have to know exactly how they're trying to fool you.
Right.
So that you can say, I asked for this thing, you didn't give it to me. Case dismissed.
Right.
I wanted this stamped within 15 days. That didn't happen in accordance with due process. Case dismissed.
Yeah.
And you just have to, they want you to obey the rules of the road, and you need to hold their feet to the fire so they obey the rules of traffic court.
Right.
So they don't just take your money, which they're expecting to.
Right. And I want to obey the rules of the road. Yeah. As long as the damn sign. Have you talked to the council people?
No, I've thought about that too. Again, I got busy. I was doing a little TV show that got canceled.
Which one?
It was called Access Live on Access TV.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
It got canceled, though?
Yeah, last Thursday was our last episode.
Oh, people, go online, look it up. Look it up. Find some more Ryan Stout in your life.
No, it's fine. You just find me on YouTube.
Find you on YouTube.
It'll
That's
be good.
Turns out youtube.com/.
And if you're interested in fighting for your rights at all, there are billions of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Where people tell you how to talk to the police, how to handle court. You can, all the documents that I submitted, you can find places online where you just download them.
Perfect.
Yeah. We can help each other.
That's it. We're in this together.
Yeah. Come on, community.
Citizens.
Yeah.
We're citoyens du monde. RyanStout.com. Ryan Stout on YouTube. Ryan Stout on Facebook. Stout Ryan on Twitter. Thank you so much for coming on the Dork Forest and talking about traffic court.
Yay!
It was fascinating. Yeah, Rangers, get out there, affect some change at a grassroots level. Take care of yourselves. Bye. Let's do the credits. Mike Rickberg composed and sings the intro song with Sarah Cohen, his girlfriend, and he sings Mexican Hat Dance at the end. Patrick Brady will fix this audio, and he compiles the teaser clips on YouTube, which is youtube.com/thedorkforest, and Vilmos fixes the website, JackieCation.com. And Vilmos has his own podcast called The Green Room and a bunch of other ones. There are bonus tracks on the apps. There's an iPhone app and an Android app that you can get from tdf.libsyn.com, and for some reason they're just also putting the bonus tracks up there, and that's just Andy and I talking about each episode. So enjoy that. iPhone app, Android app, listen to it on Libsyn, listen to it on iTunes, or subscribe or review the show. AllThingsComedy.com is the podcast network that I'm on, and there's a lot of great podcasts there, and they're going to start doing their own content, which will be super fun. Have a good one.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat, my hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?